And one, and two, and 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everyone. Afternoon and evening as well. Today is announcement weekend because we have gotten the announcement from Blizzard about the release, the official date of the release of patch 9.2.5. May the 31st in NA, June the 1st in Europe. Now, a couple of days ago, somewhere around here, you will find the video about all of the differences of what is going to be out at the release of patch 9.2.5 and what is not going to be out until the release of the season 4, which will be months from now. So please stop being confused and go check that video out. You will know what you will be able to get at the start of this patch. Of course, the main talking point of the start of this patch being released next week is going to be cross-faction, right? That is the one that's going to draw the most people's attention about it. Blizzard goes on to describe a few more things that you will be able or won't be able to do with cross-faction. Matchmaking dungeons or raids are not gonna be a thing because Blizzard doesn't want to force the cross-faction on players. They want to make it exclusively an optional system, so you can optionally invite players of the opposite faction in your group finder, but you cannot do so in, for example, a random battleground. You will just be paired with whatever you find in your party and your raid, so it is not very optional. So they aren't going to keep those activities, random heroic dungeons, random battlegrounds, random skirmishes, still faction locked. The other things in grouped content will be able to be cross-factioned. Now we know what the talking point of this system is going to be months from now. Where guilds? Blizzard, where guilds? Because we are getting communities. Great, we are getting the communities for cross-faction. What we are not getting now, and even up to the release of Dragonflight, we are not getting guilds. So things like raiding, coordinated group guild raiding won't be a thing really, because if you are not part of a guild, you're not participating to guild achievements, to guild rankings and progression, so it's very unlikely that a guild who puts the effort of raiding 3 nights a week or 4 nights a week will do so as a horde guild with 7 alliance players, so that when they finish the raid they won't even get a ranking, they won't even get something to show for their result because they had alliance players in their roster, and cross-faction guilds are not a thing. So I already know what is going to become the main talking point of this feature. The closer we get to Dragonflight and then into Dragonflight, this will be a quite requested features. Please introduce cross-faction guilds. Talking about cross-faction, another new thing that got announced is the faction of Alliance. Because what Blizzard has announced is that cross-realm raiding is becoming enabled. If you're not aware, cross-realm becomes available once Hall of Fame closes for both factions. So you get your 100 guilds from the Horde to defeat the last boss, your 100 guilds of the Alliance to defeat the last boss, and then cross-realm opens. The problem is this one right here, that there are just 18 Alliance guilds so far that defeated the Jailer in Mythic difficulty, which means if we went at this pace, you will be getting more than 100 guilds well into Dragonflight. That's a little bit late to open cross-realm for this tier, so Blizzard is enabling this tier, it's making an exception this time and enabling cross-realm from next week already. Also, because Mythic Plus is going to drastically change, because previously you got your top 1%, your top 0.1% achievement based on your faction. So if you were the top at your faction, you will get that achievement. But now you can do Mythic Plus with members of the opposite faction. So that title doesn't make sense anymore. So Blizzard is changing the title. Instead of giving this season's titled Cryptic Hero to the top 0.1% players of your faction, they are going to award that title to the top 0.1% players of your region. So no longer faction, but region instead. There are going to be some few other things coming in 9.2.5 that we haven't touched too much in detail in, namely the renown catch-ups. We mentioned them, but there is even more stuff available for your alts now. For example, the broker macro of distinction, the one that brings your renown instantly up to renown 40, has been increased to renown 60. There are also going to be now 100% chance of getting 1 renown from pretty much all of the grouped and instanced content, Mythic dungeons, Mythic Plus dungeons, rated battlegrounds, Torghast layers, and raid boss encounters, of course. So now getting to renown 80 is going to be even faster than before, which was already fast to begin with, honestly. But today's video is to talk about something else. It's not just about the announcement of 9.2.5, but it is the speculation of when is Season 4 going to begin and when is Dragonflight coming out. Because we have gotten some tips, we have gotten some hints at the timeline of these releases. What are the tips? The tip we knew before even getting into these announcements was the fact that Blizzard was planning to make Season 3, this season, last a normal duration, and then make Season 4 shorter. Make it a shorter duration than average. That's the first tip. The second tip is, of course, that now we do have the release date of 9.2.5, which is next week, followed by the third tip, which is a Blizzard announcement saying Season 4 will be making its debut later this summer. I have sent this message back to my scientists. They hit me back a few days later, telling me that based on the Earth rotation on its axis, this year's astronomical autumn is going to start on September the 23rd. And we know now that Season 4 will start this summer. So, with 9.2.5 coming out at the start of June, we now have June, July, August and half of September at a very maximum worth of time before Season 4 gets released. But what's more is that we also know that they said they wanted to make Season 4 shorter. So Season 3, this season, the encrypted season of Sepulchre, came out on the 22nd of February. In fact, the season itself, Season 3, started, the 7th of March? What was that? So if you go from Season 3, going from the start of March to the start of September, that is 6 months. And we know that Blizzard said they want to make Season 4 shorter. Shorter than 6 months. So if Season 4 then is coming out somewhat in September, and it has to last a shorter duration than your previous seasons, this will bring us to all of September, October, November, December, and then to the very max January. This would bring Season 4 to last 4 to 5 months, start to end of January, with the release of Dragonflight being right after the pre-patch and then the release. So I've seen some people being quite defeatist and quite pessimistic, pointing out that Dragonflight is going to come out in April, May, maybe even June of next year. I think we are much closer to a early winter release by the end of this year. In case you guys remember, the devs were pretty confident, perhaps even cocky, in saying how the expansion was far along when they announced it in their reveal. They seem pretty safe, they seem pretty confident in the timeline. They didn't sound very hesitant, very timid in pointing out anything about the release, anything about the state of the expansion. They were quite confident. They seemed almost childish in the way they were behaving. So I think it is quite possible that this is going to be the timeline that we will end up with for this expansion. Since I got the release of 9.2.5 correct, I'm going to go further and give my predictions for the following patch releases. We will get Season 4 at the end of August. We will get the pre-patch of Dragonflight by the end of December, or at the very latest, the start of January, and the release of Dragonflight itself at the very end of January or the start of February. So this is going to be my predicted timeline for the next couple of patches, the next couple of releases for World of Warcraft. With this being said, these were all of the announcements for today. I'm going to close with a tiny little bit of an extra, which is this thing right here. In case you were worried, I'm not sure why you would, because you have quite a lot of time still. this mount is still going to be available once Season 4 launches. This is the mount that is available from defeating Jailer in heroic difficulty, the ahead of the curve mount basically. In Season 4, of course, Cutting Edge is not going to be available, ahead of the curve is not going to be available, any other thing, title and achievement tied to the season, to Season 3 is no longer going to be available because Season 4 is starting, but this mount is going to stay. You still want to be awarded the ahead of the curve, you still want to be awarded the actual achievement, but you will still be able to get this mount, even inside of Season 4. So, this was the last tiny little bit of an announcement for today. Let me guys know what you think about this schedule. What is your feeling, your gut feeling about the following schedule of releases for Blizzard? If you think it's not really that likely that Blizzard will come up with such an early path to Dragonflight, if you think it's going to be later on down spring of next year, let me guys know. This was I gave you my prediction. Let me hear yours. So for today, we can stop here. Thank you guys, of course, for watching and supporting the channel in any way you can, which also includes liking somewhere around down there, as well as commenting as well. Also, you can subscribe to the channel, but for today, this one being a prediction-heavy video, only the Chads, confident and high on Copium and Hopium, that Dragonflight will come out at the very latest in early February, are allowed to subscribe for today. So, only the believers. Of course, I am also available to follow. That one day a week I write some tweets over on Twitter down there, as well as you can support me even more on Patreon, somewhere around there, which will give you access to my Discord channel. Nothing really special goes on down there, honestly, but if you want, you can come and join us. So, thank you guys again. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, why this was just a tiny little bit of an announcement video. Why did it get so long? I need to shrink. I need to shrink in general. Fuck.